Hello and welcome to the Dinosaw for week 15, another 7 curious, interesting things I saw last week. So let's crack on. And I am back in London, so hopefully the sound is a little better this week. First of all, Twitter have unveiled an edit feature. So this is the edit button, I guess. Now, why is this worthy of a mention when you've got this on things like Facebook or LinkedIn? Well, nobody's really sure how this is going to work, and this has caused quite a lot of controversy when this has been mentioned before. So just to give you an example, so if you then put out a tweet and lots of people reply to your tweet in the context of your original tweet, and then you edit your tweet and then puts it out of context, all those original replies might now seem controversial in some way, and therefore what happens to all the tweets that then follow that as a reply? And likewise, if you quoted a tweet or you forwarded a tweet, then what happens to those? Do those update as well, and all the conversations that happen there, what happens? So nobody really knows. However, it was unveiled on April the 1st, but it turns out it is actually real. I have checked. So there. It's going to be unveiled to Twitter Blue users first. So those are the paid sort of premium users of Twitter Blue. So we will find out relatively soon how this is going to work. But at the moment, lots of chat on the internet about what could possibly go wrong and lots of examples. Lots of people sort of saying, well, the whole point about Twitter is it's warts and all. It's, if you make a mistake, you've got to live by it and deal with it. So an edit is against the spirit of Twitter. However, we also know there's quite a lot of bad stuff goes on Twitter. It's not the most positive place to be. So this could quite easily be abused. It might also be an amazing thing. We do not know. Watch this space. This is the Piper Sandler report, or at least one of them. This is what they do for a living. And this is the new US teens, or Gen Z in old money. This is 7,000 US teens. A really, really interesting report. I implore you to go and click on the link, which will be in the description down below. There's some great stuff. I've just pulled out a few things here worth mentioning. So as you can see from the top thing, women are leading the digital shift. Now this is both in e-commerce and also with uptake of devices. If you are into streaming and video consumption, Netflix and YouTube way out ahead. Amazon Prime way down, only 3 or 4% really. So essentially, it's for old people. So Metaverse, 26% own a VR device. So tech is a really big thing. So they are leading the way. You don't see that in older audiences, but also customer service channels. Conversely, if you want to talk about customer services, then people want to phone and speak to somebody. If you think that bots and live chat bots are the future for your customers, and these are your new customers, that's 2%. So social media, email, chatbots, really not great. Anything with an interaction, SMS, live chat, phone, really where it's at. So that's relatively surprising actually. And talk about social media, then we've got Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok way out ahead, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter way below as well, so not unexpected to be fair. And if you're talking about who are the celebrities that people are really interested in, then Ryan Reynolds is winning on the celebrities, and if you're talking about social media, then it's Emma Chamberlain. Calls out to Kanye West and The Rock, and also Kevin Hart's doing pretty well in both of those as well. So there are some universal characters on both. Really good report. This is probably a 20th of actually what's in there, so please do go and check it out. It might not be exactly right for your territory, wherever you're at, if you're not in the US, but there's some really good stuff in there. There you go. This is Unreal 5 engine, and if you've been living under a rock or a tech rock, then you probably don't know what this is, but it is basically the engine, or the graphics engine, the coding engine, the gaming engine that runs many games on consoles, on mobile phones. It also runs things like TV experiences, so if you've ever seen those kind of funky graphics in the Weather channel, then this is what's probably running it behind the scenes. The new version of it is out, has amazing graphics effects in there, lighting effects. It deals with things like wide-ranging cityscapes really well, the way it draws the depth and the detail, and it also has this demo game in there. There's actually a Matrix sort of themed cityscape demo as well you can play with, but this one is called Lyra. It allows you to edit a first-person shooter game, and once you finish your edits, if you want a weapon for instance, great. If you want to change the color of the portal, great. When you're ready, you just click on the go button and you play and see how it works. You can use the avatars that are built in, which have AIs as well. The avatars, by the way, are called Manny and Quinn, obviously mannequins. And there you go. So if you're anywhere near being interested in first-person shooter gaming development and you haven't quite done it yet, this is the way to do it. So this demo will get you into the low-code, no-code version of first-person shooter games. As I said, there are other demos. This is also going to be updated over time, but it's definitely worth a download. It's a fairly hefty download, and also you need a fairly hefty video card to run it. But it'll run okay on most cards. It's just to get the most out of it, you need a good card. But definitely download it. There you go. Unreal 5. Now, this is a slightly weird one to be in a Dinosaur, but I just thought this was an interesting... The reason for this is some technology that had great hope many, many years ago, 20-something years ago, has just kind of maybe not had the support it needed, and also maybe has not really actually been doing what was originally promised, so that's why it's in here. I spotted this about 20 years ago, if you excuse the pun, so this is ShotSpotter, and what this does, it's a microphone array that you would deploy, or a police department or a municipality, a government would actually deploy in a city that has, for instance, high gun crime or violence. So the microphones would be placed on things like high buildings, and if a shot went off, then they could triangulate the source of that shot and then essentially call the police straight away, and therefore give you an early warning system that there is some sort of felony in progress, and giving you a better chance of catching the criminals. Now, 20-something years later, and there are other versions of this as well, 20-something years later, there is now a campaign to get these things removed for a couple of reasons, and I thought that was quite interesting. It's almost like a technical promise that hasn't really delivered, and now it's really getting called out on it. So there is no real evidence that this is making any tangible difference to gun crime. Apparently there is something like an 80% sort of error rate in this as well, according to the documents behind this. And also there are some sort of civil liberty issues with this as well, in that it can also record conversations, and there are evidence, or there are instances of where this is actually recorded conversations. There are also where this has been used in court cases where there's quite a lot of kind of human manipulation of the numbers, so it's not purely a digital system that works on its own. So as I say, there is a campaign at the moment, which is the reason I spotted it is like, I know, oh, hang on a minute, this is obviously not gone the way that it was supposed to have gone. So point I'm mentioning all of this is like some technologies need really to keep in tune with really what they're hoping to do, and also civil liberties, and if they don't, they need to be called out on it, and maybe it's had its time. There is some good use for this, by the way. So it's also used for things like detecting people who are using explosive fishing, using sonar versions of it. It was actually, invented during the World Wars to sort of detect the range of artillery and all that sort of stuff. So it's not all bad. It's used for spotting hunters in wildlife reserves, that sort of thing. So, but in this case, it's maybe not as useful as it was once sold. But there you go. Emoji 14. So these are the new sets of emojis. You may have seen these actually unveiled in September, where they are ratified. So every year people suggest them. A couple of years later, they are all essentially ratified, broadly speaking, towards the end of the year, September-ish, and they will be unleashed at the next year. So now is the next year, and we're starting to see Emoji 14 roll out. These are the new emojis. There are things like the pointing finger, the melting face. We've got the troll, which obviously is going to be used. We've got the biting lip, all those sorts of things. You're thinking, oh yeah, I could use these. Glitter ball, woohoo, why wouldn't you want one of those? And we've got nests. There's an empty and a full nest. There's a slide, should you want one of those. And relatively controversially caused quite a lot of discussions, which is the pregnant man. There's also pregnant person as well. So as coral, if you really want coral, it's probably behind my head as I'm recording this. But if you really want three beans, I'm not quite sure the significance of those, but clearly they got ratified. I might be missing the significance there. Forgive me if I'm being ignorant. But there you go. Those are the Unicode new 14 emojis. If you can't see these, if you click on the link below in the description and you go to a page and you can't see them, it basically means you need to update either your operating system so that it now has access to the Unicode font in the sky, or your application that you're using, maybe your software or your social platform needs updating as well. So if you've got the new iOS, for instance, on your phone, it will have automatically allowed you to see these. So there you go. Perfect. Our place, so Reddit, so r/place on Reddit. If you go there at the moment, you will see pretty much nothing because this thing has closed, and I'll explain what this thing is. in 2017 was the first time this thing appeared, and it's only appeared twice, and the second one was this week. So I'll explain what it is. This is the brainchild of the person behind Wordle, actually. So this is Josh Wardle, who is behind this big social experiment, as you maybe Wordle is that as well. So he's got a history in this space. So this is a giant canvas. Anybody can draw on this canvas. The only rule is you only can place 1 pixel every 5 minutes. So you may be thinking, well, how are people drawing these things? It must take them weeks and months to draw each one of these little pictures. This entire canvas is only up for about 4 days. So what it actually takes is lots of people to come together to agree what they're going to draw, in lots of sort of forums on Reddit and other places as well. They all come together and say, right, all 1,000 of us, we're going to descend on the canvas, we're going to own this square, and everybody agrees which pixel they're going to place, and every 5 minutes they can maybe do a couple of pixels, and eventually they start drawing their thing. So it's a really, really interesting social experiment about people coming together, about people coming together as a common cause, about respect of the artwork that people have already put there, disrespect of certain artworks, there may be some messages that get scrubbed out or mutilated or changed, and those sorts of things. So it's a really, really interesting thing. As I say, first time was in 2017, in April the 1st, and the next one was last week in 2022, and April the 1st. So check out the video. You can only now see the video of the time lapse of it, which is what you're watching a part of now. It's not the full thing. Really interesting. So that's our place. Hopefully I did justice to that. And finally, we have magnetic slime bot, I guess we're going to call it. That's not really what it's called, but that's kind of what I'm calling it. This is magnetic putty. So we've seen magnetic putty before, but this is a new experiment by researchers in China who have figured out how to kind of manipulate it in far more detailed ways. And as you can see, it just navigated some really interesting mazes on the left-hand side. And as you can see on the right-hand side, it's being stretched to create electrical contacts in really interesting ways. So the ultimate goal of this is really, well, not the ultimate, but one of these, the use cases of this is projected to be medical, so that you would send this inside the body, you could manipulate it with external magnets to go and either envelop a clump of cells and remove it from the body, or maybe if you've swallowed a marble or something like that, it can go and hoik it out for you. So, but also, as you're seeing with the electrical connectors, which I thought was really interesting, is this going to be the universal the substance of the future? So if you switch a light switch on or off, is it really just going to be this kind of magnetic flubber inside it that just spins around and makes the contact and can make very, very complicated shapes? There you go. So magnetic slime bot. That's not what it's called, by the way, but definitely check out the video. Hopefully that was useful. Hopefully that was interesting. Hopefully it was a little bit mind-bending in places. If it was, give us a like, and I will see you next week.